We're going to talk about that this evening. Jesus, our reason for the hope. Brother, we need a reason to hope. And we're going to talk about that. 1 Peter 3:15 is going to be our main text this evening. If you want to look at that, we're going to be reading that. I think, did I have it in there, brothers? I thought I did. Okay, well, turn or listen to what I said. 1 Peter 3:15. Peter says, but sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts. That word sanctify, that's a religious term, and it simply means to set apart. If you've been sanctified, if you're in Christ, you're sanctified, the Bible says. It means you've been set apart for a holy purpose. So set apart or sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give an account for the hope that is in you, yet with gentleness and reverence. Brethren, we need to be able to give that. We need to be able to live in such a way that people are going to be asking about that, And so people need hope. We really do. Human beings need hope. We live in hope, as a matter of fact. We do that. And in fact, we need hope so desperately that many people in this world have learned to take advantage of that hope, If you have a terminal illness, there's all kind of quack remedies out there, right? That they're going to, this will cure your disease, whatever it is, and just come do this, you can get a quick and easy weight loss. I see this thing all the time that says you drink this one ingredient for at nighttime, and by the morning you can just feel the pounds shedding away from you, and you can lose all this weight. The only thing you lose is your money. If you're going bald, man, I don't know why. I guess as you get older, they start sending you these targeted type advertisements such as hemorrhoid medicine and going bald. They have this product, just smother it on your head and you're gonna be hairy as an ape, and all that. And I actually read one time where you could buy real pearls for $9.95 a piece, $9.95. I pity the one that fell for that one. All the get-rich schemes out there, all that stuff, brother. We live in a rip-off generation because people have learned that people have such hope about things that they'll sometimes go to desperate measures. But things are not always the way they appear to be. We know that. We learned that early in life, brothers and sisters. And there's a lot of people that cannot deliver on what they offer. A lot of people offer you hope, and they can't deliver on it, There's a lot of gimmicks out there, and a lot of them offer false hope. Politicians, businessmen make promises they can't keep, A lot of folk do that. And many in our world, everybody has hope of some kind, for the most part. But the problem is, brethren, many are trusting a false or unstable hope. What the Matthew Terminal on Mount Matthew chapter 6 calls the sinking sand. And build their house on that solid foundation. And a lot of people put their hope in such as our government. I'm of the age I get advertisements saying buy U.S. savings bonds, and the pitch is they're as secure as your government. And I think then I'm not buying them. Philosophy. There are all kinds of philosophies out there making false hope, including humanism. That says, well, if we can just be our best, we can live in a utopia. The people hope in the economy or the stock market, and brother, we see how that does like this all the time. People trust in military might or in some kind of world event that thing's going to change things. Even the stars. I've had people very seriously say to me, I need to look at my horoscope to see how I need to live today. And many hope in themselves. That's what humanism is, and the New Age theology and everything. There's nothing higher than the human being. We're the highest evolved on the evolutionary chain. But if we can just have the right conditions, then we can have a utopia on earth, and everything's going to be wonderful and great. And it's all a lie, brethren. But they hope in that, There are all kinds of flimsy and false hope that's built on the sinking sand. People hope in themselves. They say, I trust in my own abilities, my own talents, the good job I have. I trust in the money I have in the bank. I trust in the college degrees I have. All those, whatever. And brethren, those kind of hopes can go very, very quickly out the window. So in spite of all our modern advances, in spite of all of our tremendous technology that we have, a young man was showing me a coat tonight. He can push a button and that thing will heat up. Isn't that something? And I mean, it's just amazing what the technology can do. And yet, in spite of all that, studies show there's as much hopelessness today with all of our modern day advancements, than more hopelessness today than in previous generations. And it's tragic to hear somebody say there's no hope. Sometimes you hear that, brothers and sisters, and sometimes, you know, if you're outside of Christ, that's true, and we're going to look at that. But hope motivates people to go on, who otherwise wouldn't go on. Hope is a source of encouragement, and it encourages people to endure and to persevere and to not give up and to not quit and to just keep pushing on no matter what, you know. But sometimes you hear that it's hopeless. Somebody does surgery, the doctors say we've done all we could. There's nothing else we can do with this person. Some doctors are honest enough to say they're in God's hands now. And then the person dies, you know, there's a horrible plane crash, and all of the experts would say, well, there's really no hope of survivors, you know. Or the doctors say, we were operating on this guy, we cut him open, we saw the condition he was in, the disease, and it's too far gone, and there's no hope. Y'all ever hear people say something like that? You know, or doctors would say to somebody, I'm sorry to say that you're terminal. Guess what, brothers and sisters? In this human condition, every one of us are terminal, amen? We really are. And, you know, and so Acts 27, it's winter time. A severe storm's coming up. The ship is sailing to Rome. Paul is on that ship, the Apostle Paul, and he warned them. He advised them against going. He told them there's going to be a tremendous storm and everything. And they, you know, well, who do we listen to? This preacher or these seasoned sailors who've been doing this all their life? And so they listened to the captain and the crew and went ahead and sailed anyway and got in what was called a nor'easter, which is basically a hurricane out to sea, and it's mean. Well, verse 20, Luke's writing, and he says, we gave up all hope that we would be saved after about 7 days into the storm. Brethren, there comes a time that people do that. Luke is writing, he's a Christian now, but it was so severe that he said, we just gave up all hope that we were going to be saved. And of course, the Apostle Paul knew better, because he told them that just the ship was going to be destroyed and the people were going to survive if they were to do what he said. And so, brethren, we live in hope. We really do. And that's why the Bible has so much to say about it, you know. It keeps us going even in the crises, you know, and we constantly hope. Man, you young folks going to hope you graduate from high school, right? How many of you hope you're going to pass an exam you've been studying for? You hope you'll get that dream job. You hope you're going to get a good paycheck that's going to be able to support yourself and your family. You hope you're going to get that promotion. You know, guys, you hope she's going to say, I do. I've known some parents who hope she wouldn't. You know, you hope you'll get out of debt, right? You heard about this old farmer, he plays lottery one time, and his life wins $3 million. The reporter goes out to cover him on the news and says, well, what are you going to do now that you're a multi-millionaire? He said, you going to retire? And the farmer said, no, then I guess I'll keep farming till it's all gone. You know, but we want to get out of debt. Y'all didn't catch that. Bunch of farmers in this congregation, that goes over your head. I can tell that to city slickers and they laugh. Anyway, all right. I know you've had a lot to eat today. You're kind of wanting to, yeah, I know how it is. You know, it's warm in here and you've eaten a lot and you're tired. And anyway, brethren, here's the thing. See, we live in hope that we're going to get well. If we have a disease, we live in hope of reconciliation. If we had a problem with somebody, we hope that we're going to get through the crisis that we happen to be in. We hope for a better tomorrow. That's what little orphan Annie was all about, right? We need hope, brethren. We need hope, the right kind. But in America today is tragically lost in a drift, and most Americans know it and are frustrated about it, you see. They take these surveys and these polls, and people would say that they don't know how to deal with it, you know. And you can name every kind of thing that's going on right now. I could ask everyone here, what are some of the things that people are losing hope over? And we can name them, man. I mean, over and over and over, the things that are going on in our world at this time, okay? We've all come through the COVID, you know. Before that, there was the AIDS and epidemic, you know. Everything just spreading like wildfire. All of the disasters, what we call natural disasters that's going on, you know, all around this country, you know, from wildfires to droughts to floods to mudslides landslides to hurricanes and tornadoes and now this deep freeze, that's taken over most of America and all that. My son in Valdosta, Georgia, that's 10 miles from Florida, brother, and it was 19 degrees down there. That is just unheard of, And we can talk about inflation and the price of everything. And I mean, it just, people say, it seems like this whole world just going crazy, And there's always something like that, brothers and sisters, Cities are in our country is filing for bankruptcy, and all kinds of things. The crime rate's going up. People are plagued by drugs, There's prison overcrowding, on and on and on and on, and so many other things we could talk about, brothers and sisters, and we'd still be just touching the hem of the garment because we live in a sinful world. And so, brethren, and here's the thing. We know in this country that we are adrift. They do these surveys and they say, are you better off now than you were? They put, a number on it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, Are you better off now? And over 80% of the people that they survey in America said, no, we're not. And they ask them about, I forget what they call this, something meter they call it, where what is your level of thinking things are going to get better? It's amazing. We live in the greatest country in the world, the most prosperous country in the world, but the vast majority of say, no, we don't think things are going to get better. We think they're going to continue to go downhill, And when asked what they can do about it, very few people give a good answer. The answer is often something like, there's nothing. The problem is too big. We've gone down that slippery slope too far. There's no turning around. It's going to be a hopeless situation. We're doomed. Isn't that a way? I mean, that's the way a lot of people in this country feel, brethren. And you say, well, Brother Green, that's a terrible thing. It is terrible that they feel that way. But brethren, listen, this provides a great opportunity for Christians who have real hope, solid hope, and have a reason to hope, to be able to share that with those people and say, oh, you've been basing your life on the sinking sand and on all this false hope and all these things you put your hope in have proven to fall flat on their face. And let's offer you some real hope now, some secure hope, some solid foundation. People are looking for real hope, brothers and sisters. They're looking for someone who's walking on solid ground that they want to be like or follow, and they must see it in God's people and in his church. Brethren, that's what Peter is saying to a persecuted people. He says to them, sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give an account for the hope that is in you. We need to always be ready to do that, brothers and sisters. Be ready always to give people a reason for that hope that you have. Now, brethren, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this verse. You can't share what you don't have. People need to see a hope in you. They need to be able to watch your lifestyle and say, there's something different about that person. They have the same problems I do. They live in the same world I do. They suffer the same crises that I do. But man, they're different. They handle it. They push on. They don't give up. They've got a smile on their face, Beloved, they need to see that in us because we, as God's people, have the only real hope for a hopeless world. Christian, do you have it? Do you have it? You say, well, Brother Green, I have my days. I'm not talking about we all have our days, brethren, but do you have that hope? And could you share that with somebody? If somebody come to you and say, man, I've noticed a difference in your life. Man, you don't handle things the way everybody else does. I have a crisis and I fall apart. You have the same crisis and you say, we're going to get through it. What is it? What is it with you? Be ready, Peter says. Be ready to give them that answer, okay? And so, brothers and sisters, we have the only real hope for a hopeless world. We need to share it with people. Our hope, as we sang in that song, our hope is built upon a reason. My hope is built on nothing less but but Christ and his righteousness. It's not a blind faith, brethren. We're accused of that sometimes. Hebrews 11:1 tells us about, now faith is the assurance of what? Things hoped for, the conviction of things not yet seen. That's what it is. We have a real hope, brothers and sisters. So our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. We need to be ready to share that with people. Our hope and our perseverance is that, as Jesus says, Lord, as verse 15 says, you set apart Christ as Lord in your heart, as your master. He's your real hope, you see. And he is eternal, and he is immortal, and he is incarnate, brothers and sisters. He was born as a babe into this world. He grew up in this world experiencing everything that us humans go through so that he can come to our aid. He set the perfect example for us to follow while he was here, and then he was nailed to a cross and raised from the grave and has ascended to heaven, and we know he's coming again. And every one of those is a reason for the hope that we have in us. Brethren, it doesn't matter what kind of crisis we endure in our life. We know as soon as we leave this world and we're going to be with the Lord forever in heaven, we need that hope. We need to share that with others. Because when the non-Christian says, I have no hope, they're right in their present condition. Ephesians 2, verses 12 and 13 tell us that, doesn't it? Ephesians 2 begins by saying you were, past tense, he's talking to Christians, you were dead in your trespasses and sin. And so what does that mean? Well, verses 12 and 13, as you see there, he says, remember that you were, and again, he's talking to Christians now, but he says, remember that you were at that time separate from Christ, excluded from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. But now you who are in Christ, verse 13, were far off, have been brought near by the blood of Christ. Brethren, there's a time when you may have been out in the world, away from Christ, not a Christian. And at that time, you were with no hope. Isn't that a horrible place to be? Isn't that a horrible place to be? Well, without Christ being Lord in our life, as 1 Peter 3 says, there's no hope of being saved. Because in John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me. Friend, you can't say, well, I'm going to reject Jesus, but I'll get to heaven some other way. No, you won't. As the old boy said, there ain't no other way. It's not. It's really not. There's no substitute. All the other things that mankind hopes in is temporary. It's sinking sand. It may give you some hope for a little while, but it's not going to last. For real hope, for absolute assurance, for great peace, give yourself completely to Christ. Set him apart as Lord, as master in your heart, and live for him. And beloved, I'm telling you, we'll have that solid ground, that absolute hope in Jesus Christ.